Welcome into Off the Hook Sports. Caleb Calhoun here. A lot to get to today as Josh Heupel updated the team after Tuesday's practice. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar, could he win the Heisman? I'm going to throw some stats out and some facts that make it possible. The reason I bring up Josh Heupel updating the team, we're going to talk about some of the things he said, including why Aguilar won the starting job, the center position still up for debate, what he said about Pooh Carter, and the receivers back out at practice. Also, 6 Vols are preseason All-SEC. What does that mean? We'll play hot or cold with which ones deserve it and which ones don't. And we will close also talking about Auburn going out and claiming 7 more national titles. That'll be what the H. So hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, tell a friend, building something great here at Off the Hook. We want you to be a part of it. The show is represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Banks & Jones, play to win, why settle, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We broadcast live every weekday from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. I would like to apologize to you guys because I am having some trouble with my mic right now. Might as well just move it to the side because it's not working. Guys, tell me how I sound right now. How does this sound the way I'm talking right now? Does this... Let me see if I'm... Give me 1 second. Tell me how my mic is now. Does this sound better? I'm fixing it now. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to play a quick ad from Banks & Jones, and then I'll be right back.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
Welcome back. Tell me how I sound now. How does this sound now, guys? Let me know. How does the microphone sound now? I apologize for what's going on. There is technical difficulties with my mic. That was why I was delayed starting this show. I don't know what's causing it. I wish I did, but I don't. I am trying to fix this as we speak, but we are about to get rolling with today's tough question. Again, I apologize for how this is all playing out. All right, this is much better. Much better. Okay, let's get rolling. I apologize with that. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Let's get rolling. And it is today's tough question. We are brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle, led by Banks & Jones, T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. And today's tough question surrounds Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar is officially on the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm preseason watch list. This comes after Josh Heupel named him the starting quarterback on Sunday and then spoke on it on Tuesday. Now, Joey Aguilar, we have talked about whether or not he will win the job a lot, whether or not he can run Josh Heupel's system and all of that. What we really haven't gotten to, though, is are we underrating how great and elite he could be in this system? Because they didn't go after Joey Aguilar for no reason, guys. They went after Joey Aguilar for a specific reason. They really thought he could run this offense and be elite doing so. And there's a strong possibility that he can. And if he can, how good could he be? Tennessee's less than 3 years removed from a quarterback in November on track to go to New York for the Heisman ceremony before he suffered a season-ending injury. 2023, they had a quarterback who wasn't fit to run the system. 2024, they had a situation involving Nico Imaliava, who was young, didn't process as well as everybody thought he would, and most notably was facing defenses that had adjusted to how they would play Tennessee because they don't want to get beat deep. With that in mind, with Joey Aguilar running the offense, who is more aggressive than any quarterback Tennessee's had under Josh Heupel, won't have the opportunities to turn the ball over the way quarterbacks under Josh Heupel typically do, or the way he typically does, but won't have the opportunity under Josh Heupel because of Josh Heupel's system, and is willing to let his receivers go up and make plays.
Joey Aguilar, who has accounted for the most offense of any quarterback the last 2 years in FBS football, could he win the Heisman Trophy? Yes, that's right, the Heisman Trophy. That is today's tough question. Again, brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Could Joey Aguilar win the Heisman Trophy? And that is the poll question. You guys vote on it now, yes or no. Let me tell you a few reasons Joey Aguilar has a better chance than either of the quarterbacks the last 2 years to win the Heisman beyond his own play. Dylan Sampson's success last year, where he set the school record for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in a single season, is going to adjust how defenses played this year. One of the things defenses did last year was get into that 3-3-5 shell defense because they were so committed to not getting beat deep. And Josh Heupel said, fine, I'll stick with the run game, and he gashed people on the ground. Meanwhile, Nico Iamaleava, as we know, was young and didn't process well and make as quick decisions as Joey Aguilar would. Joey Aguilar is a gunslinger with more zip on the ball than a Joe Milton type. He is not going to overthrow deep balls the way Iamaleava or Milton did. On top of that, the supporting cast around them. While Tennessee's interior offensive line is an issue, their pass protection should be better. Last year, John Campbell Jr. and Lance Hurd together were very good at the end of the season. They were both hurt at the beginning of the season, and with 2 hurt tackles, Iamaleava was under pressure a lot. This year, Lance Hurd at left tackle should be full go and thoroughly elite. David Sanders Jr. is a 5-star phenom at right tackle. Yes, he's a true freshman, but true freshmen like him are rare, and right tackle is easy to pick up at Josh Heupel's system, so the pass protection should be better. And most notably, and I've said this 1,000 times over, and we're going to get to this in the next topic because of what Josh Heupel said, wide receivers should also be better. Because Mike Matthews stepping in for Brew McCoy, love him, respect him, wasn't able to dictate coverage the way Josh Heupel needs his receivers to dictate coverage last year because he was coming back from the broken leg injury and was never 100%. The complimentary wideout on the other side, Dante Thornton, was also coming back from an injury. And Squirrel White, the slot guy who's supposed to be the next element, was playing with a separated shoulder. So with that in mind, yes, I think that when you take this into account, Joey Aguilar has a lot more things working for him, which is why I said from the start that this offense would look more like the Hendon Hooker offense of 2022 than it did the Milton offense of 2023 or the Iamaleava offense of 2024. Because of that, I'm willing to say, yes, he can win the Heisman, but it is a shot in hell. Okay? It's a snowball's chance in hell of winning the Heisman because teams are not going to fully go back to the defensive schemes they had against Tennessee in 2022. The fear of getting beat deep, that's just not going to happen anymore. It's too much of an issue. With that in mind, teams are going to absolutely go out of their way to make sure that they can stop, that are going to go out of the way to make sure that they don't get beat deep. So the opportunities won't be there as much. However, with Joey Aguilar, he takes a lot more shots over the middle. And he throws 50-50 balls. So receivers don't have to be bare down the sidelines for Joey Aguilar to throw it to him. We're going to see if that can make his stat line go way up. If it does, watch out. Josh Heupel's never really had a gunslinger at the position before, at least at Tennessee. He's had mobile guys who throw beautiful deep balls, but he's never had a gunslinger. And Joey Aguilar is a gunslinger. We're going to see how this works in his system. Look, we've all said this, and we all agreed, I think, Josh Heupel doesn't know the best quarterbacks for his system. So he went and found Joey Aguilar after always going for the Nikos, the McIntyres, even the Miltons, the Hookers. What do they all have? They all throw beautiful deep balls. Some not always accurate. Maybe the gunslinger is what's needed, though, for this system. And maybe that could totally change things. Today's tough question, again, brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones. Led by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks and Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
The poll question up: could Joey Aguilar win the Heisman? 65% say no, 35% say yes. I'm going to lean with the yes side because I think it's possible. Now, Joey Aguilar doesn't have the same deep ball that Hooker, Milton, or Iamaleava have. But that's not a big deal this year because of, like I said, the shell defenses teams are running. Two, it's deep enough. I mean, it's good enough to where if a receiver's buried on the sidelines, Joey Aguilar can hit him. And maybe not having the best deep ball is a good thing because Joey Aguilar won't overthrow guys, okay? It's better to underthrow him on those deep balls in this situation because they're so open down the sidelines. And most notably, Joey Aguilar zips it over the middle. And he can zip it, man. He can fling it. And the ability to fling it over the middle is going to be a huge benefit for him and Tennessee this year. And it might change how the offense operates, particularly if they do stick in that 3-3-5 shell defense. Then Tennessee's in great shape. What I can tell you is this. Whatever they do, if they adjust to stop the run or if they stick with trying to get beat deep, because of Josh Heupel's offense and what it's shown, all coaches are going to go out of their way to leave the middle of the field wide open. And Joey Aguilar is the first quarterback Tennessee's had under Josh Heupel who does not mind working the middle of the field. And he will work the middle of the field down every drive. And if he's doing that early on, he could really rack up some stats, okay? So I really do believe that by working the middle of the field, which will be there, and the willingness to do so, Joey Aguilar is going to have a heck of a season that could make him look like a Heisman candidate. Okay. There was a great film breakdown the other day of Nico Iamaleava and one of his mistakes. And this isn't just Nico. This is pretty much everybody involved in Tennessee's offense because of the way Heupel coaches, where you're taught to look at one side of the field. And Nico saw one side of the field. A read he was looking at was taken away. Had he looked to the left side, there was a receiver on a crossing route that he would have had. Rather than look that side, he tried to roll out to make a play. And by rolling out, everybody thought he was showing heart, but in reality, he got sacked, or I think he had to throw it away. Joey Aguilar will look to the left side. Now, Josh Heupel's offense doesn't coach you to look at the left side, but Joey Aguilar may actually do it. So we're going to see how that plays out. As far as the message board goes, a couple of you guys have a few things to point out. Adam says Tennessee has a moving set of standards. If they go 10-2, they'll reevaluate and say Tennessee should have gone 12-0. Says Aguilar appears to have the arm and body of Will Levis. Yes, but if Will Levis played in Heupel's system, maybe he actually would have been successful because Heupel would have limited those turnovers. So I think that's a really big point. David Speak says his ideal season, 64%, 3,500 yards, 32 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 275 rushing yards, and 6 touchdowns. That'd be a heck of a season. Rustastic says, does Aguilar have the arm strength to beat the SEC deep? Yes, it's not as good as the other quarterbacks Josh Heupel has had, but it's good enough, Rustastic, and there won't be as many opportunities to beat teams deep, so it's actually better to be good over the middle right now in Heupel's system. So it's kind of an interesting point. General Ursa says the Heisman Trophy is a joke. 2 great players snubbed. The best players don't always win it. Very true. I still stand that Tennessee only had 1 great player snubbed, and that was Peyton Manning. I know people bring up Johnny Majors in 1956, and Paul Hornung had no business winning that Heisman Trophy over Johnny Majors, but neither should have won the Heisman. Jim Brown should have won the Heisman that year. So that's, let's be honest, Jim Brown is the one who should have won the Heisman that year. So Todd says that's a bad assumption that he coaches to only look at one side. No, Todd, he does. If you know about Heupel's offense, what he does is he coaches you to read a state. The offense is very easy for quarterback. It does not develop you for the NFL. Again, not a big deal. NFL coaches will develop you once you get there if you're good enough. But Heupel coaches you to look at one side. And he coaches you to just look at one side and read the safety and then do a 3-step drop and get rid of the ball quickly. He's not coaching you to go through his progressions. That's not what his system does. Okay, it's just not. So we got to be honest. That's just not what a quarterback does in Heupel's system. It's to put up video game numbers by reading a safety and then hoping a receiver's bare when you do it. That's pretty much how the offense works. Portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. We get rolling now with 4 downs, and it's about the things Josh Heupel said at his press conference yesterday with regards to the state of Tennessee. And there are some big ones here. And so it's 4 downs, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Let's get rolling, baby. All right, 4 downs. Let's get started. Josh Heupel spoke to the media on Tuesday to provide updates on the state of Tennessee football and revealed a lot of things about the Vols in the process. Some things that were actually kind of shocking and some that we kind of expected. But the shocking ones were, there was one good and one bad for Tennessee. We're going to get to that. But first, 4 downs are brought to you by, as I said, Ted Russell Ford, but also Cooper Mays will read out the downs for us. But unfortunately, as I have told you, and I'll tell you guys every day when I do 4 downs, I don't have the soundboard that Dave Hooker has, which he plays Cooper Mays' voice to read off the downs. I don't have the soundboard, so what I do until Dave Hooker gets back, by the way, we all wish Dave Hooker well. We're doing a thing in the chat board now, in the chat room. Hashtag DH for Dave Hooker if you can. We really do wish him well. We hope he gets back soon, and I will provide you updates whenever I can, but there is no timetable on this right now. But however, without him, I will do the imitation of Cooper Mays for 4 downs until that happens. So it's 4 downs on Josh Heupel's press conference. And first from Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you, Coop. Man, who was that guy that just spoke right there? I don't even know. Coop here. First down. All right, first down from Coop on Josh Heupel's press conference Tuesday. Josh Heupel reveals why he made Joey Aguilar the starting quarterback. And in typical Josh Heupel fashion, he said nothing. In even more typical Josh Heupel fashion, Josh Heupel can't even BS well without saying anything. Typically, coaches do a very good job at BSing and making it sound like they said something. Josh Heupel just garbles stuff that makes no sense, okay? He was really bad at BSing papers in high school. I'm just going to say it. But here's what he said, quote, Joey, through the course of training camp, each and every day continued to grow and take steps and understand what we're doing, and comfort level, played well on the scrimmages, had good command, and ultimately that led to the decision we made. Literally nothing was said about Joey Aguilar with that statement. Okay, but again, what do we expect? This is Josh Heupel. This dude literally almost says nothing. He adds, ultimately in the pass game, there's certain things that may be the most confident in as you game plan week to week. That's a part of it. But some things that you put in to attack certain things that you see on film, you try to get them to understand the way behind it. Offensively, it changes from year to year. You change from year to year. It starts with the quarterback and offensive line and where you can put your skilled players to have success. Again, said a lot without saying anything. But he did say later, the entire room competed at a high level. They competed the right way. They pushed each other in a positive way. He said what Joey did through the course of training camp. And then he said, Joey, through this week and really what he's done through training camp, learning what we're doing offensively as we get ready for Syracuse here at the end of the week, then making sure that the things that are in play he feels good about. And I think that's one of the things with young quarterbacks and especially new quarterbacks is getting to be transparent in those things. Makes no sense. Kept getting asked what made him feel that Joey was the best quarterback for Tennessee to win games, Joey Aguilar, and he got a little frustrated, but he said, I said it a second ago, but I've got great trust in all these guys, and the strength of one position room, quarterback included, can never be one guy. Those guys have all grown, but I think Joey coming in May, having to learn the offense throughout late spring, summertime, getting his feet on the grass with our guys, learning how we practice, but also growing each day, just continue to trend upward, and his comfort and control and command of what we're doing. That's decision making and accuracy with the football, our checks that he controls. You put all that together, and that's ultimately why we made the decision. That's the revealing quote. That right there. Because that revealing quote is why Joey Aguilar won the job. He wasn't the best quarterback to start off fall camp. Now, I still think there's politicking involved. I've talked about the politicking involved with Josh Heupel doesn't want to name Merklinger or McIntyre as starter when he wants an open competition next year, and both will be back. And Faison Brandon is going to be coming in. That's why he wants the open competition. But at the same time, I think part of why he named Joey Aguilar the starter wasn't necessarily that Joey Aguilar was the best quarterback at the start of fall camp. It's how quickly he was progressing. I think Joey Aguilar's veteran presence, I told you guys this, Josh Heupel's system is very easy to pick up. Nico Iamaleava, George McIntyre, Joey Aguilar, they all can pick it up very easy. And George McIntyre would even be ahead of Joey Aguilar because he was here in the spring. But it doesn't take long to fully grasp the offense. Then it goes with how well you progress just within your play of how after you grasp the offense. And Joey Aguilar was going to progress faster than any of the other quarterbacks, and the projections were there because Joey Aguilar is so much more experienced. He's a fifth-year senior. So again, at some point you grab. It's like playing the piano. You learn to play. The piano is very easy to learn how to play. Everybody learns when you actually learn how to play the piano. It's very basic. I'm a pianist. I was a jazz pianist. Learning the fundamentals is actually really easy. Progressing within playing the piano, though, is much more difficult. And in Josh Heupel's offense, there's basic fundamentals that you pick up, and it's very easy to pick up. But then how well you progress just is about how well you play college football. That's where Joey Aguilar surpassed everybody. Cooper Mays here. Second down. Josh Heupel revealed that Boo Carter may be in better shape to play than we thought. For those who don't remember, Boo Carter, after floating with the transfer portal last year, announcing he was staying, having been rumors that he would flip to Colorado in 2023 when he did commit to Tennessee, practicing with the team in the spring, and then spending the offseason icing the team out, all the reports being that it wasn't NIL related, but he wanted to play more reps on offense as a defensive back, icing the team out, not showing up for team meetings. It's turning out that he might even not be with the team at the start of fall camp, coming to join the team, rejoining, having to work his way back to practice after the player leaders wanted to demand that he have to work his way back to practice. And then his mom going on an online tirade looks like is working his way back. Heupel said he's very pleased with the progress Boo Carter's made. His exact quote was, "Boo's continued to grow on the things that we're asking him to do, to be a great teammate inside of the building every single day. The charge for him, but for all of us, is to continue to do that. Boo's continued to grow in what he's doing on the field, so I'm excited and pleased with a lot of the things that we've seen from him." Look, I'm going to be honest. I see the development part. I see why that's possible. I also am wondering if Josh Heupel is more gung-ho on Boo Carter than the rest of the team is. That is just... I've heard some reports that the team is not as high on Boo Carter as Josh Heupel is, and it could cause some friction. But maybe it's not. Maybe Boo is winning the team over. Josh Heupel clearly is high on him being back on the field. He might get back quicker than we thought. Cooper Mays here. Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down. Very fitting that we say Tennessee center Cooper Mays, because another point that was made yesterday was the fight to replace Cooper Mays at center is still out there. And it's a big one because William Satterwhite and Sam Pendleton are still battling. Guys, that's a problem. That's a problem. You heard it here first. That's a huge problem. As much as you want your quarterback named early so you can get ready to prepare for Syracuse, you want the center there early too, because the center calls all the plays on the offensive side, on the offensive line, dictates the blocking schemes, and the blocking schemes are crucial for the interior of the offensive line. And there's a rapport with the quarterback that's necessary. The fact that he hasn't named a center yet it's not that they're both playing well and he can't find and he just can't pick. It's that neither is playing well and he needs somebody to play well. And that's a big concern. That's the biggest concern of all of this. And it's really, really bad news. Fourth down coming up in a second. First, a quick message from Ted Russell Ford, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down. Thank you, Coop. Fourth down is this, and this is a big one. Josh Heupel says that all the receivers are back at practice. All the receivers are back at practice. That is a huge plus for Tennessee, because the reason I projected Mike Matthews, Braylon, Staley, and Chris Brazzell have all missed some time this fall camp due to injury. Chris Brazzell also has dealt with a legal issue and has gotten criticism from Tony Basilio about the idea that maybe his head's not in it. But the way this receiving core was supposed to work, Chris Brazzell's the one returning veteran. He had 29 catches for 333 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. He's a possession guy, the complimentary number 2 wideout possession guy that you throw the ball up and hope makes a play that can take, that basically can help you move the ball downfield. Mike Matthews is the elite 5-star wide receiver with a ton of speed and a ton of elite hands and elite ups that dictates coverage and changes the way everybody else plays defense. And then Braylon Staley is a superstar speedster in the slot that you get the ball to because Mike Matthews is dictating coverage. That's the way this is supposed to work. All of them being healthy is a huge plus because of the lack of depth at receiver. Even though Amari Jefferson was able to work his way in, Trey Weary is a walk-on, and there's 3 freshmen, phenom freshmen. True freshman receivers need about a year to pick up this system because there's actually more of a learning curve there than there is at quarterback because there's a lot of anticipation on where you expect the quarterback to throw. Mike Matthews and the rest of them being ready to go and fully back at practice is a big deal. And I said at the poll question now, what's a bigger deal? The excitement of the wide receivers fully healthy or the concern of no starting center named? Right now, 70% say the excitement of wide receivers, 30% say the concern of no starting center. We'll see how this plays out going forward. But as of right now, it's a very, very good sign. Portions of the program are brought to you by Heupel, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. HempelChatWith2Ts.com, HempelChatWith2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. When we come back, we are going to discuss 6 Vols making all SEC for the coaches. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook sports.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem.
Oh boy. Yep, you're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP. You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn on your notifications. Tell a friend. Building something great at Off the Hook Sports. Want you to be the part of it. Also, the link is in the description at the top down below, and I'm putting it in the chat. I want you guys to go check out my other channel, Sports Nightcap, where I host Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays after the latest big sporting event of each of those days. And I talk pro sports with you guys. NFL season's kicking off, so I'm really excited to get rolling with that. Go over there, hit that like and subscribe button over there. I want to have a lot of fun with you guys there. That'll be Sunday nights, Monday nights, and Thursday nights. Link is now in the chat and in the description at the top down below. It is time for This Day in Tennessee Sports History. And this day in Tennessee sports history is going to be a very, very happy birthday to one Todd Helton. Helton turns 52 years old today. Helton is a member now of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, or the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, got in last year. 5-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slug Award winner, MLB batting champion in 2000, had a career .316 average with 369 home runs, 1,400 runs batted in, helped carry Tennessee to the College World Series in 1994, and also was the backup quarterback that year under Jerry Colquitt and had to start a couple of games before he suffered a season-ending injury to help bring Peyton Manning and Coop and Brandon Stewart along. So a happy birthday to Todd Helton. This day in Tennessee sports history is brought to you by Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Welcome back to the program. It's time for Hot or Cold, brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates, and more. Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN. Hot or Cold? Let's get rolling. 6 Tennessee Vols were named preseason All-SEC by the coaches on Tuesday. This was shocking because only 2 were named preseason AP All-SEC back in June. Preseason media All-SEC back in July, excuse me. Only 2. So you go from 2 from the media to 6 from the coaches. And by the way, there aren't more All-SEC teams with the coaches than the media. Both do a first, second, and third team. So Tennessee had 6 All-SEC preseason players this year from the coaches. That is shocking. That is beyond shocking that many more would be All-SEC. The coaches seem way higher on the Vols than the media writers do. Now, just so people know, the All-SEC players for Tennessee, I'll get to who they are that made both, but just so you're aware, both of them have just one. In both cases, they just have one first-team All-SEC player. But what really stands out is the coaches are, while the AP voters, the media voters, had one third-team player on top of that, the coaches have 5 third-team players for Tennessee. So that's where the difference is. We're going to play hot or cold with all these guys on whether or not they could be All-SEC, and I will go down the list and see which ones should be and which ones shouldn't be. And we start with the obvious one. Jermon McCoy, first-team All-SEC media, first-team All-SEC coaches, despite his injury to start the year, and while I think he will be rusty, with more help from a more experienced Jalen McMurray, Andre Turntine more experience, Jordan Thomas back, Ricky Gibson III more experience and complimentary on the other side, Colton Hood out there to add more help, Boo Carter with more experience. I think that once he's fully healthy, Jermon McCoy will be even better than last year. So even with a sluggish start to the season, I'm hot on Jermon McCoy being first-team All-SEC. I told you guys yesterday, I think he could be an All-American. The only other All-SEC player across media and coaches, third team in both, Arian Carter. I'm hot on Arian Carter. Told you guys he could be Tennessee football's best linebacker since Kevin Burnett, and maybe even their best linebacker since Al Wilson. It's just Kevin Burnett's the last All-American linebacker Tennessee had. Very, very, very hot on Arian Carter being potentially All-SEC. I think he could be very good, and I think Arian Carter is going to be arguably the best linebacker in college football. I think I would have him actually first team if I'm doing projections. I think he'll finish first team All-SEC, not third team. I think he's that elite. He's that good. All right. Here's the other 4 that were third team that were not among the coaches, that were not among media All-SEC. Boo Carter. That's right. Boo Carter is third team preseason All-SEC as a defensive back. Despite what Josh Heupel said and what I brought up to you guys about Josh Heupel saying earlier, I'm cold on this. I'm sorry, I'm cold on this because I just don't think he's going to fully work his way back into the rotation. And also, as an All-SEC, as a defensive or offensive player, I think by splitting reps on both sides, he will be solid on both sides, increasing his draft stock, but will not be elite enough on both sides to earn All-SEC or any postseason awards for that matter. And he definitely won't do it and where they have him, which is as a defensive back. If he does earn it, it'll be as a specialist, as a kick returner or punt returner. That's basically where he's going to earn it. He's not going to earn it as a every down player on defense, defensive back. That's just not going to happen. Sorry. Moving on. Lance Hurd. That's right. Lance Hurd was third team All-SEC. Believe it or not, I kind of agree with this. I'm hot on it. I think Lance Hurd could end up being very good for Tennessee at left tackle. He was very good to end the year last year. People forget that. And he was a 5-star when he transferred. He was struggled at the beginning because he was picking up the offense. And I mean, I know it's not hard to pick up for a tackle, but he was picking it up and he was playing with a sprained ankle. He's fully healthy now. Lance Hurd could be a superstar now. Don't just think all SEC. Maybe think beyond that. I mean, there's a lot of talent for him. Hot or Cold brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow more on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates, and more. Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN. Facebook.com/Sports Treasures TN.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
More all SEC Vols, potential all SEC Vols. How about Miles Kitselman? I spoke to you guys yesterday, and I said I am cold on Miles Kitselman being an All-American because, one, he was dealing with an injury. He's fully healthy now, but in dealing with that injury, I think Ethan Davis took a leap. And I think that they do tight ends by committee. So it'll be hard for him to make the splash he needs to make to be an All-American. But he is Tennessee's reliable target at tight end. And while they are all healthy at receiver now, which, again, is another reason to not have him be an All-American candidate, one injury at receiver would make them have to rely on the tight ends more because of how thin they are there with scholarship returning players. So they will utilize the tight end, I think, a little bit more this year. And that gives Miles Kitselman a chance to be all SEC. So I'm hot on that. And I'm actually hot on third team. I don't see a first team all SEC tight end in Miles Kitselman, but I do see a potential second or third team. So I'm hot on that. And finally, the last guy who is all SEC preseason. And this one was shocking to me. Chris Brazzell. Chris Brazzell, who had 29 catches for 333 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. I'm cold on this for a couple of reasons. One, I think Chris Brazzell plays the complementary number 2 wideout position in this offense, meaning he's never going to be the big play guy. That's always either the wideout, the number 1 wideout, or the slot guy. So that's the first part of this, in the passing game at least. While he will be able to make some plays going up to catch 50-50 balls, which is going to be more common, and Joey Aguilar will give him the chance, so he should up his production, it still won't be enough to outweigh the fact that he's the number 2 wideout. He's playing the role that has the least effect in the system for Josh Heupel at receiver, the 3 starting receiver positions. Also, we don't know how much time Chris Brazzell is going to split elsewhere. If the first receiver, I just talked about the receivers all being back, but one of them goes out, you have to go more to the tight ends. The first receiver that'll go out will be Chris Brazzell. Braylon Staley has been dinged up and held out of practice at times. Mike Matthews was only held out the first week and has been full go. Chris Brazzell has been held out of practice, has been accused of not caring much by Tony Basilio, and had a legal issue. Was arrested for driving on a suspended license. There's a lot working against Chris Brazzell right now. And so it just seems likely he would miss time. And with that, I would sit there and say, no, he's not going to be able to be an all-SEC player. Now, right now, the poll question up, what's a bigger deal? The concern of a no starting center named or the excitement of the wide receivers fully healthy? 63% now say the excitement of the wide receivers. 37% say the concern of no starting center named. I am now amending that poll to go to this. Which coaches all SEC player Vol who wasn't media all SEC is most likely to be there at the end of 2025? Okay. Which coaches all SEC Vol who wasn't media all SEC is most likely to be there at the end of 2025? And we're going to go Chris Brazzell, Miles Kitselman, or how about Chris Brazzell? Sorry, I'll say it this way. Chris Brazzell, Boo Carter, Lance Hurd, and Miles Kitselman. So which coaches all SEC Vol who wasn't media all SEC is most likely to be there at the end of 2025. And the options are, again, Chris Brazzell, Boo Carter, Lance Hurd, and Miles Kitzelman. My vote of that group, believe it or not, is Lance Hurd. I'm fully on board with Lance Hurd potentially earning that. I think he's proven it to a certain degree at this point, given how he finished the season. I know a lot of people are going in on Boo Carter. I understand that, but I am going on Lance Hurd. I'm very high on Lance Hurd potentially being the guy to do that. You guys vote on that. We'll address the poll question in a little while. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hound Dogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. hdknoxville.com, hdknoxville.com. Again, we are represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Broadcasting live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used. He's Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. When we come back, Fran Brown has made some comments that suggest how Syracuse is going to play Tennessee. And it actually asks the question, how will Tennessee respond to 3-3-5 shell defenses this year? Because it actually reveals something a little bit more maybe concerning for the Vols. We'll see. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Hello, ma'am. Here to look at that plumbing problem? Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP. You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn on your notifications. We get rolling with news surrounding Fran Brown and Syracuse. Fran Brown made a revealing comment about Syracuse's plans to play Tennessee defensively when the two face off a week from Saturday. And it actually leads me to believe that Tennessee will have some issues still with the deep ball this year. Fran Brown said, quote, "We're just trying to not get beat deep. That's the goal. Don't get beat deep. Play with good eyes, come up and tackle." I want to send a shout out to Zach Reagan of A to Z Sports for pulling this up. And I just wanted to say that that's where I found this quote from. That suggests that the 3-3-5 shell that was being played last year by so many defenses is going to be played this year. Again, by so many defenses. They don't care that Dylan Sampson set the record for all-purpose yards or for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns at Tennessee. They don't care that he was the AP SEC Offensive Player of the Year. They would still rather see that than see Tennessee beat them deep. Now, there could be reasons for that, by the way, to be fair. Although Tennessee went 10-2 and made the college football playoff, and they went 10-2 in 2022 as well. One thing that is inevitable is that Tennessee's 2024 resume was nowhere near as impressive as its 2022 resume. Okay. In 2022, Tennessee beat arguably the best team in the country in Alabama, which had a huge role in Alabama not being in the playoff. They blew out LSU, who won the SEC West 40-13 on the road. Those 2 wins alone stand out for Tennessee. And then they beat Clemson in the Orange Bowl. Yes, a throwaway game. It's the Orange Bowl, but they beat them in the Orange Bowl 31-14. Their resume was a lot more impressive that year. They also, to be fair, beat Pittsburgh on the road that year, and Pittsburgh did finish 9-4 and ranked number 22. So Tennessee's resume was very impressive. They beat, if I'm counting right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top 25 teams at the time, and 1, 2, 3, 4 teams to finish the year in the top 25, 3 teams to finish the year in the top 25 in meaningful games: Pittsburgh, LSU, and Kentucky. And Alabama, excuse me. Most importantly, they beat a team to finish the year in the top 5 that year, and Alabama, who finished 11-2 and number 5. And I also would like to point out that they beat a team that would have made a 12-team college football playoff that year. That team was Alabama. Had there been a college football playoff, Alabama would have been in. And with that in mind, I don't think you can look at this team, look at the 2022 team and say the same thing. Now, yes, Tennessee lost both games that year by multiple scores, South Carolina and Georgia, whereas they just barely lost to Arkansas, but the schedule was a lot easier in 2024. They did not beat one team that made the 12-team playoff. They beat one that would have made the 12-team playoff in 2022, plus 3 teams in meaningful games to finish the year in the top 25. More importantly, they only beat one team to finish the year in the top 25, period, this past year. That was Alabama. So when you take all of that into account, I understand why teams would still stick with this defense, because it's not like Tennessee exposed that defense as much last year, because it's more likely they just had an easier schedule. So the 3-3-5 is still there. However, that follows Joey Halzle talking about in July how the offense has worked to adjust to teams trying to take away the deep ball. He said the entire focus this offseason is when people are playing really soft and dropping gate and coverage, quote, how do we keep it being explosive in the passing game? And that's, once again, we ran the ball the way we did last year, but it's not going to be that way that we just say that's par for the course now. The entire focus this offseason has been how do we get our playmakers the ball in space with the ball in their hand where they can run and do what we recruited them here to do. And he noted they made some changes. Those changes include adding Joey Aguilar, who is more of a zip guy over the middle than a deep ball guy. Not on purpose. It's because Nico Imali have transferred. But on top of that, the other change is adding Seth Littrell, who was Oklahoma's offensive coordinator last year and is now an analyst. So I'm going to say all this to say this. Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, life made better. Tennessee is going to make teams pay this year for playing the 3-3-5 shell defense by dialing up more passes over the middle. Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
That's right. So the bank on it. I think Tennessee is going to work the middle of the field a lot more this year. That's going to be the biggest part of this. There have been reports, and David Spinks brings it up right now. The pistol wrinkle gives us a play action element where the deep ball will be available. Very good point, David, that the pistol has been thrown in. That was being reported in practice back in the spring. They spent the offseason clearly working on adjusting their passing game to this 3-3-5 shell to where they don't just have to give it to Dylan Sampson. Or now it would be Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop, or Star Thomas. The big reason for this, by the way, guys, is because the interior of the offensive line won't be as good as it was last year, and there's no way around that. You can believe in William Satterwhite, Sam Pendleton, and then on the other side, Jesse Perry, Wendell Moe, or Max Anderson, whoever they're going to start. And maybe they'll work out. There's no way they could be as good as Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, and Andre Carey. Cooper Mays was one of the best centers in the SEC the last 3 years. Javonte Spraggins was one of the best guards in the SEC the last 3 years. They had started in Heupel's system for 4 years. Okay, last year was their 4th year starting together next to each other in Heupel's system. And Andre Carrick, it was his 2nd year, and he was also very talented. There's no way that level of experience combined with that level of productivity could be replaced. It just can't. So I think they're looking to work the middle of the field a lot more. That's why when Nico Iamaleava transferred, I think they might have seen an opportunity at that point because they went straight after Joey Aguilar. I think that was part of them saying, hey, we just lost Nico. We don't have to start him this year because he's more of a deep ball down the sideline. Let's go get a guy who has zip on his ball and throws it over the middle. And I think that's where Aguilar comes in. So with that in mind, guys, look, I think what Fran Brown is saying does make me question what I've said, where teams are going to be a little more hesitant to throw the 3-3-5 shell out that they have been throwing. At the same time, if they're going to stick with it, work the middle of the field nonstop throwing the ball. And Tennessee's never shown that wrinkle of working the middle of the field. And they're going to make Tennessee show it. And again, Joey Aguilar being there to do it is a huge deal. I think Joey Aguilar is honestly, this is why we go back to the beginning of what we were talking about, where it could turn Joey Aguilar into a Heisman caliber candidate. Somebody brings up the fact that Chris Ault, and this is a great point by David Speaks, Chris Ault's pistol offense was kryptonite for the 3-3-5 and 4-2-5. Yes, for those who don't know, Chris Ault was the coach at Nevada for a long, long time. Coached there for, I believe, 36 years? A long time head coach there. Was an incredible head coach, won a bunch of championships. The most notable one was the 2010 team with Colin Kaepernick, of all people, where they shocked Boise State and won the Mountain West Conference. It was actually the Western Athletic Conference that year. So, yeah, don't be surprised if that's utilized even more this year because they want those big plays. And they do want those big plays because that's how Heupel operates. He didn't like having to give it to Dylan Sampson every single play last year. So just watch out for that. Watch out for how that plays out. I wanted to get to the poll question real quick. Which coach is all-SEC Vol who wasn't media all-SEC is most likely to be there at the end of 2025? Lance Hurd, Boo Carter, Chris Brazzell II, Miles Kutzelman. Man, I've got a good debate going on this one. Lance Hurd leads by a plurality at 33%. Miles Kutzelman second at 29%. Boo Carter at 24%. Chris Brazzell II at 14%. I actually fully agree with that ranking. Lance Hurd's most likely, Miles Kutzelman second most likely, Boo Carter third most likely, and Chris Brazzell fourth most likely. So with that in mind, back to the point of 3-3-5, we have to say that I do think Tennessee is actually, because of the wrinkles they've thrown with Seth Littrell now as an analyst, Joey Halsey and Josh Heupel working to change things because of how teams have committed to it. I think, and then the quarterback they got, what Fran Brown said, maybe a big deal. Teams may well stick with that 3-3-5 defense this year. They'll pay for it more than they even did last year. That's how I think this is going to play out long-term with Tennessee and what they're doing on that front. It is time for the stat of the day, and the stat of the day is this. Josh Heupel, his first year at Tennessee in one-possession games, was 1-3. Since then, he is 7-1. I thought you guys might find that interesting. He went 3-0 in one-possession games in 2022, 2-0 in 2023, 2-1 in 2024. Why is that relevant? Well, I used to say one-possession games are about the luck of a coach, and they can go either way, and a coach is this close to being very, very good because, a lot of the success is what you do off the field, and it shows that they're doing the things off the field to keep the team competitive, but them being unlucky on the field. Well, no, there's also the analytical side on the field of making in-game decisions. Hence the reason I have my football IQ, which will be coming back, guys. But if you're losing a lot of close games, or if you're winning a lot of close games, it's indicative of your football IQ and how smart you are in the game. And Josh Heupel is proving that he's smarter than most coaches on in-game decisions. So that's a big deal that he's 7-1 in postseason games since his first year at Tennessee. Stat of the day brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. PeakIVHydration.com. Link is in the chat. When we come back, Auburn is claiming a bunch more national titles. What the H? Stick with us. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume 4 dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports, portions of the program brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga's community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service, automotive, brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, hey, Bo, Off the Hook Sports sent you. QualityTirePros.com. Also, portions of the program are brought to you by the UPS Store Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses, wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated. 10629 Hardin Valley Road. We close out this show with Auburn. What the H? The Auburn Tigers have decided to retroactively claim 7 more national titles. Before yesterday, Auburn had 2 national titles on their resume. 1957, when they went 10-0, finished ranked number 1 in the AP poll, number 2 in the coaches poll somehow, and 2010, where they bought Cam Newton for $100,000 and went and won a national championship in the greatest individual season in college football history, and now they're about to retire his jersey. However, now they have decided to claim 7 more national titles. This comes from athletic director John Cohen, who offered this explanation of the school's decision. Quote, "For too long, Auburn has chosen a humble approach to our program's storied history, choosing to recognize only Associated Press national championships. Starting this fall, we have made the decision to honor the accomplishments of our deserving student athletes, coaches, and teams from Auburn's proud history. Our visible national championship recognitions now align with the well-established standard used by the NCAA's official record books and our peers across the nation." What the H, brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler. RickTerryJewelry.com. Looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. Auburn is totally justified in these national title claims. And let me explain why. Let me first point out that it's still hard to explain this. I got a lot of friends who are mainly just pro sports friends, so they don't understand the way national titles worked in college football. I'm dropping a link right now in the chat. It's right there. You guys go watch it. I did a video on this site on Off the Hook Sports 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago now, on why college football went so long without a national title. And I explained the entire concept of a national title in college football, which is that college football is embedded in a historical tradition where national titles weren't even recognized. And to this day, the NCAA has never officially sanctioned a national title in college football. What they have sanctioned in their record books up until So just so you know, the college football playoff, not NCAA sanctioned. They sanction tournaments in every other sport. The college football playoff is an agreement between the power conferences and the athletic directors and Notre Dame. It's just a agreement of a tournament that they agreed to put on, but there's no NCAA behind it. The same was true with the BCS, by the way. Okay, it's the conferences individually and the athletic directors. And before that, it was just the bowls inviting teams with conference championships and tie-ins. So the way national championships worked before the college football playoff and BCS specifically was if one of the 23 polls, and there are about 23 polls officially sanctioned and recognized by the NCAA dating back to the 19 teens. Actually, they started in the 1930s, but they retroactively go all the way back to the first year college football was played in 1869. And the way teams were claiming national titles was if you were ranked number one in any of those 23 polls of the in the final version of any of those 23 polls at the end of the season, you could claim a national title. That's why you see claim national titles and unclaimed national titles, because some schools don't claim all the national titles in which they were ranked number one in a poll, and some schools do. It depends on which polls the schools decide to value. They all value the AP poll. Auburn was very humble in deciding only to consider the AP poll their national title poll, whether or not they were national titles and champions. Guys, Tennessee fans can't make fun of Auburn for that, for what they just did. Tennessee recognizes 6 national champions. Only 2 of them did they finish number one in the AP or coaches poll, and they finished number one in both of them in 1951 and 1998. The other ones, they claim a national title in 1938, 1940, 1967, and 1950 because they finished number one in one of the final 23 polls. And by the way, they had every right to do that too. They went undefeated in 1938. Of course they should. Auburn's claim is very fair because of that point. What they did before then was very humble. Auburn now claims national titles from 1910, 1913, 1914, 1958, 1983, 1993, and 2004. Now, I have no idea what polls they finished number one in. Well, in all of these, okay? I can't answer, but I'm sure they finished number one in one of them. And because of that, yes, they get to claim a national title. First of all, let's just go through this list. 1910, they went 6-1. Billingsley labeled them number one. They get to claim a national championship. They do. 1913, they went 8-0. They went undefeated. Billingsley named them national champions. Of course they should recognize that. 1914, they went 8-0-1. I don't know who recognized them national champions that year, but they did win a share of the SIAA title. I think Tennessee could retroactively claim a national title in 1914. 1957, they did already claim the national title that year. 1958, because they went 9-0-1, finished number 4 in both final polls. I guess there's one postseason poll that came out. I don't know. They didn't go to a bowl game, but I'm sure there's one that labeled them. I can't explain 1958, but I can explain 1910 and 1913. I can't explain 1914 and 1958. 1983, I was always shocked they never did claim a national title. There were 5 different polls that named them national champions that year as they went 11-1 and beat Michigan in the Sugar Bowl to finish 11-1. Nobody else went undefeated that year. Miami claims a national title that year. I don't understand why Auburn couldn't have claimed it. Auburn was ahead of Miami before the bowl game, and both teams won their bowl games, and Miami jumped ahead of Auburn. That was the famous Nebraska Tom Osborne going for 2 game. I'm fine with it. And 2004, that national title is vacant. USC won the national title that year, blowing out Oklahoma in the national title game. Both teams went undefeated. USC blew out Oklahoma, but USC has had to vacate their national title because of the Reggie Bush scandal. So it's vacant. Auburn was the only undefeated remaining team left among Power 5 programs, and they should claim the national title that year. They should have claimed it anyway. The BCS should have given them the national title trophy that year. I'm totally fine with it. So in terms of those, 1910, 1913, 1958, 1910, 1913, 1983, and 2004, those additional national titles, I'm totally fine with. And then 1993, they were on probation that year, but NCF still declared them national champions. That's a National Championship Foundation. And guess what? They went 11-0. Sorry, they get to claim it. I don't care that they were on probation. They get to claim it. With that in mind, they get to claim a share or the outright national titles of 1910, 1913, 1958, 1983, 1993, and 2004. I can't explain I'm sorry, and I'm leaving out 58. I can't explain 58. 1910, 1913, 1983, 1993, and 2004. I cannot explain 1914 and 1958. I don't think anybody ranked them number one on those. But of the 9 claimed national titles, everything I'm seeing, they have a full-on right to 7 of them. What the H brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. They want to be your jeweler. RickTerryJewelry.com.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
So what national championships should Tennessee claim? And I'm going to set that up as a poll question right now because there's a few I think Tennessee should claim that they don't claim. Which year should Vols claim a national title that they don't? 1914, when they went 9-0. 1939, undefeated, unscored, and untied on. No points allowed regular season. All right, you guys let me know this. Sorry, I'm trying to get this set up. Shut out every regular season foe. I can't. I'm trying to shorten this, but I'm having trouble, guys. So just give me a second. No points allowed reg season. All right, there we go. 1914, 9-0. 1939, no points allowed in the regular season. 1989, 11-1. Or all of them. You guys let me know about that. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to talk about each of these where they should claim a national title that they don't. For those who don't know, they claim one in 1938, 1940, 1950, 1951, 1967, and 1998. Tennessee, though, went undefeated in 1896, the first year back from the lost years. That saved the football program, but they went 4-0. I don't mind them not claiming a national title that year. However, the 1914 team went 9-0 as Orgy Clevenger that year. They beat Vanderbilt for the first time ever, won the SIAA. I think they should be claiming national championships that year. I see no reason why they can't, honestly. The 1939 team, they lost the Rose Bowl to USC, but Rose Bowls were glorified exhibitions at the time, and they lost it 14-0 after George Cafago had gotten hurt in the regular season and wasn't full go in that game. But during the regular season, and when most national champions were declared at the end of the regular season anyway, Tennessee went 10-0, did not allow a point that year. Did not allow a point. Of course, they should be declared national champions that year. They lost the bowl game in 1940 and claimed it. They should claim it in 1939. How about 1989? This is a big one for me. And I don't know why they're not claiming national champions that year. Tennessee finished number 5, going 11-1 that year. Their only loss was to Alabama after they switched quarterbacks from Sterling Hinton to Andy Kelly, and they had lost Reggie Cobb, their star running back, that week. But they beat UCLA when UCLA was in the top 10. They beat number 4 Auburn. They split the SEC title with Alabama and Auburn that year. But what's not talked about enough is what happened during the bowl games that year and why Tennessee should claim a national title. Okay, because going into the bowl games, for those who don't know, Tennessee was ranked number 8. They were ranked number 8 in both polls, okay? What happened after that? All the teams ahead of them started to falter. So, who was ahead of them? Alabama, who had lost their last game to Auburn, which is why Tennessee was able to share the SEC title. Alabama had lost their last game to Auburn. Alabama then lost to Miami in the Sugar Bowl. Okay, Miami was number 2. I get if you want to declare them national champions. All right, fine. But that Miami was already ahead of Tennessee. That moves Tennessee up to number 7. Then, we're not done. 1989 still. Nebraska lost to Florida State. They were ahead of Tennessee. They lost to Florida State. That's what moved Tennessee up to number 6. Okay, fair enough. 1989. What about Notre Dame? They beat Colorado. Should have moved Tennessee. Okay, fair enough. That should have moved Tennessee ahead of Colorado, but it didn't. It kept Tennessee at number 5. Who else was ahead of Tennessee that year? And I'm going down the list. Florida State. Florida State, while they did beat Nebraska, they had 2 losses on the year. Most notably, Michigan. Michigan lost the Rose Bowl. That's how Tennessee moved up to number 5. Alabama, Nebraska, and Michigan lost, so Tennessee moved up to ahead of all of them. But Colorado lost their bowl game. Tennessee stayed behind Colorado. Florida State had 2 losses. Tennessee was somehow behind Florida State. Miami and Notre Dame both had 1 loss in the regular. So Tennessee should have at least been number 3, by the way. And Miami and Notre Dame both had 1 loss in the regular season. I think Tennessee can claim a share of the national title with Miami and Notre Dame. That's just the way I'm seeing it. And actually, to be fair, I think Notre Dame can't claim it because Miami beat Notre Dame. So Tennessee should claim a share of the national title with Miami that year, 1989. I think that's one of the most underrated teams that has absolutely a right to claim the national title. That's an unclaimed national title that they should have. Now, another official unclaimed national title they have retroactively, 1931. They went 9-0-1, won the Southern Conference. I can't give them that because they should have beaten Kentucky. They tied Kentucky that year with a chance to go to the Rose Bowl and blew it. So I'm not going to give them that one. But 89 and 39 and 14, absolutely do it. I'm fine with that. That gets Tennessee to 9, just as many as Auburn. So that's where I land on that. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. We broadcast live every weekday from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville, new and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. You guys have a great rest of your day. Also, again, I'm putting the link in the chat and it's in the description down below at the top. Please hit like and subscribe. Subscribe to my Sports Nightcap YouTube channel. I'm live every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Link back in the chat again. After the latest big game, sporting event, whatever it is of that day. So with NFL season rolling around, I will be live after the finish of of the latest NFL game on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. I want to talk sports with you guys. Let's have a lot of fun with that. And again, please hit like and subscribe to that channel. I will see you guys again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. You guys have a great rest of your day with Caleb Calhoun. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.